and welcome back to the channel that gives you guys content you didn't ask for but I know you're gonna love and it is very helpful. My name is Musuka and you guys are watching RWS, which is Randoms with Shades, and welcome guys, welcome.
It's random.
Last week's video guys, we already introduced what patterns are. If you haven't checked out the video, please do check it out. But we are going to do a little bit of a recap so that you guys are on the same page with me. But let me mention what we're going to be doing today, which is a standard basic block of a bodice. So what is a bodice? The bodice is the upper part of your body, so anything below is not a bodice, okay? But yes guys, that is what a bodice is, and we're going to be doing a standard basic block of what a bodice is. I'm also going to get a little bit in depth what a basic standard block is, but it really isn't that dramatic, so don't worry. Just to recap, we spoke about what patterns are and I introduced you guys what patterns are, right? So patterns are basically a 2D version of whatever it is that you are wearing currently, but on paper. That very same pattern is then transferred onto fabric by the means of tracing, then cut out and then constructed into the garment you are currently wearing, which is now 2D, right? So obviously, if you're going to take something that is flat and turn it into a 3D, that means we're working with angles, we're working with curves, and we need to make sure that this thing really sits well. Think of a cube. A cube has its own pattern, but I don't think they call it that. They call it, I forgot what it's called, but think of a cube, all right? We all know what a flat version of a cube looks like. It's like that T-shaped version, right? And it also, if you were to take a piece of paper, make a pattern of a cube, you'd have to add those little flappy things that you would have to fold over and stick with glue to make that cube, right? Do you remember that project that we used to do in technology when we were in primary? Yeah, that is what I'm talking about. That is what a pattern is basically. We take that thing, cut it up, and then make it into a 3D version of a garment, right? So that is the gist of it. But today we're going to be talking about a basic pattern block. Now, basic pattern block, I did mention briefly last week, is the basic version of a top, basic version of a pants, basic version of a dress, the basic version of a jacket, whatever it is. Basically, it's just a straight garment. So by basic, what do you guys have in mind? You guys can comment down below. But basic is basic. Really, there is no drama to it. There is nothing wow. There's just a top. It's just a top. It's just pants. So we're going to be making a basic version of a bodice. Now the bodice, meaning that it is the upper part of your body, which I mentioned already, but without any sleeves. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that, and I hope you guys can follow along and be able to make your own basic pattern block. And if you are following along with us, please do not forget to write down any questions, anything that you'd like to know that you're interested in, and I will be able to assist you guys. So let us get into the pattern draft.
The tools you'll need for this video is a newspaper print, a measuring tape, a pencil, a grid ruler, a normal straight ruler, a curved ruler, as well as another curvier ruler. This is the book that I used. I will write down in the description box what kind of book it is, who's the author, and where you could possibly find it, and also the pages that I will be using to draft this pattern. As you can see, these are the measurements that you will need. I will also put in the description box some videos to help you do this. So the first thing that you want to do is measure about 2 centimeters away from the page, the edge of the page, and draw these lines that are perpendicular to each other. This is where the grid ruler comes in very handy. It helps you make perpendicular lines. The measurement that you want to do is a nape to waist measurement plus 2 centimeters, and that's going to be your center back. And you want to square across. And then the next measurement is half of the bust measurement plus 0.5. That will help you complete this rectangle. It may look like a square, but it's actually a rectangle. The next measurement that you want to do is a 2 centimeter measurement down from that point 0 and you want to mark that as 3. You don't want to square it all the way, just square it a little bit. And the next measurement is going to be half of your vertical line plus 4 centimeters, and you want to square across. This is going to be your bust line. The next thing that you want to do is measure 3 centimeters above that bust line, and that is going to be your underarm line. The next thing that you want to do is measure half of that line, which is 3 and 5, and that is where you're going to mark your back, and that's going to help you when making a curve for your underarm, but you'll still see that a little bit later, and you want to square across but not all the way. Now for the neckline, what you want to do is measure a fifth of your neck circumference minus 0.2 millimeters, and you want to square it down, and you want to make a 1.5 diagonal line over there. What I did was just make a 1 centimeter square and then that's what helped me get a 45-degree angle, and that's how I measured my diagonal line. You could do it either way, and really it doesn't matter. You just need to get the shape that you want really when it comes to curves, but I like to just do it that way. So there's my curve for the back neckline. Now for the front neckline, what you want to do is measure a fifth of your neck base circumference again, but this time you minus 1.6 centimeters, and you want to square down. To square across, what you will do is get a fifth of your neckline plus 0.2 centimeters, and then square across to get that line that I just drew there. This time, to get your curve, what you want to do is measure a 2.5 centimeter diagonal line, and like I did before, I'm measuring a 1 centimeter square in order to get a 45-degree angle to get my 2.5. You could do it either way, and really curves are all about your eye. That's what I like to think. When it comes to patterns, you really want to get the shape that you like. It's not necessarily gonna look the same as everyone else's. The next thing that you want to do is measure half of the back width and put a point on that line, as you guys can see over there, and you want to square it down. And at that point, you want to write down that that is your underarm. And at that point, you are going to make a curve for your underarm, but you will see that later. This line was so a third of that space between 3 and 7, as you can see, and that line was going to help you in making your shoulder. And that measurement was 7 to 11, as you guys can see there, plus 2.5 centimeters. All you want to do is to join that neckline point with that point over there, and that's going to be your shoulder. I also added 2.4 centimeters to that line to add in my dot, as you guys can see over there. That chest line was just 2 centimeters below the back line, so if you're just wondering what I did there. But for this shoulder, what I did was I added a allowance of 4 centimeters on the shoulder for me to have a shoulder dot, and then I just joined in with that line that was straight along with the neckline, as you guys can see over there, and that's all I did. The next thing that I did was just to measure my dots to make sure that they were equal and how they started and where they started, especially the end of the shoulder that needs to be equal. And then I just joined that line to the line that was underneath the underarm line, which is actually the bust line. And to get that bust point that I connected with that shoulder dot, the measurement was an eighth of your bust measurement. The next thing that I did was measured the width of my dot and joined that line to that bust point. And what I did here was just measured the middle of this whole block rectangle, and I drew a straight line down. The next thing that I did was measured an extra 1.3 centimeters at number 27 over there at the bottom. And as you can see, I'm drawing a diagonal line to join in with that first point that we did earlier on in the beginning. This is all just for the shaping of this whole bodice so that it can fit properly. Now what I do is to just join those points, as you guys can see over there, with a dotted line, and that is where my armhole curves are going to go. It's not that clear right now, but you will understand later. At this point, I'm also doing that same 1 centimeter square block and measuring a diagonal line at that point for my back underarm, and the measurement there is 2.5 centimeters and a diagonal line, and that's where your curve is going to go. And then I went in and curved it over there at the top as well, just to get a nice smooth curve of an armhole. And there you guys, you can already see my back bodice forming. The next thing, I did the same thing on my armhole in the front. I did that block, measured a diagonal line that was 2.3 centimeters, and made a curve there. And what you want to do with this curve ruler is just play around and see how it's going to fit, which part of the curve you're going to like better. Really, usually we just like to align it with the line so that it's just a nice and smooth curve. That makes it a lot easier, but you could also freehand this. And as you can see, I have different curve rulers because the other one is a bit too curvier and the other one has a little bit of a straighter curve than the other one, so it's really helpful. The next thing that I'm going to do is at the bottom there. Okay, so for your waist suppression, really this already kind of fits you already perfectly, but to get a nice snatched, type of bodice, what you want to do is measure your own waist and measure this waist. This is half of your waist, and what you want to do is multiply that by 2 and subtract it from your total waist measurement, and you will get how many centimeters to minus from this. This is something that I actually found to be a lot easier than following what the book says, because the book actually tells you to add in a lot more than you need. At times these bodice blocks actually fit a lot bigger than they're supposed to. So yeah, man, this is really a trial and error. You just want to take what you need from this, and then you'll use it in future garments. Yeah. So the next thing that I did, because I actually was using a corky pen because I thought it wasn't clear, and then I decided to use a pencil because I noticed it was clear. But now, just to make sure that there is a difference between the back and the front bodice, I decided to use a red corky. And yeah, guys, basically we're done here. So what I can advise you guys is that do make sure that you take your own measurements and try to watch the videos that I've linked down below on how to measure yourself and get yourself familiar with some of the terms that I'll be using. But don't worry, as you guys know, we're here to learn. I will teach you guys or tell you guys more about these a little bit later. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Well done to KG Matema. Look what the girl did. She made denim shorts inspired by one of my previous videos. The link is in the description box or somewhere up here.